Hello everyone, welcome. Just to let you know, this is brand new software, a new camera, and I honestly do not know what I'm doing. So if things all go horribly wrong, I apologise. I will try to get back online, but I am looking at this on my phone. I can see myself, so that's a good sign. Tonight's live is a Q&A session and I will ask you the questions. So this is for you to practice conversations. These are the kind of questions that you might be asked by new colleagues or new friends, or really anyone that you start a conversation with when you're visiting Britain. So very, very common questions. And at the end, when I've been through all these common questions, I will also tell you a few questions that you should not ask when you're in Britain. There are a few topics which are considered rude or personal or a little bit controversial, things which are likely to cause an argument. So at the end, we have questions which you should not ask when you're talking to British people. But first, let's start with the common questions that you are most likely to be asked by your new friends. And I will be looking at the chat messages. If you want to answer the questions in the chat, I can read out your answers, and I will also answer the questions as well to give you an example of things that you can say. So I'll just find my questions, and I'm hoping to share my screen with you. Hopefully you'll be able to see everything in just a moment. Let's try. How's that? Nope. It did work. Let's get rid of that. So, our first question, really simple. Where are you from? Where are you from? Now, you can answer this question with your country or your state, your region, or you can be really specific and say which village or town or even which street you live on. This is a very broad question, as many of them are. So if you wanted to answer this question with simply, I'm from India, I'm from Japan, that's fine. You could go more specific than that. So for example, I'm from England. I could also say I'm from Derbyshire. Derbyshire is a county in England. Counties are large areas with lots of towns and cities in them. Or I could also say I'm from a small town between Manchester and Sheffield. That would be more specific. Let's have a look at the chat and see. So we have a viewer from Belarus. Hello, Belarus. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for answering. If you feel a little bit shy about writing in English, that's fine, don't worry. You can just practice speaking to yourself. You can write the answers down at home, that's absolutely fine. But I just wanted to give you some practice at answering questions. So our next question is, what is it like there? If someone has never been to your country, never been to your town, they may say, oh, I've never been there. What is it like? Or what's it like? So you can answer this again in a few ways. You could say, it's a really big city. It's very busy, very noisy. You could say, it's really nice. It's in the countryside, it's peaceful, it's quiet. Or maybe you love the big city. Maybe it's exciting to live in a city. So you could say, I live right in the city centre. I love it. There's always something to do. Lots of interesting people around. Or if you don't like your city, maybe it's a little bit boring, or there's not much to do. It's very quiet. In my case, if someone asked me, what's it like in your town? I would say, I really like this town. I grew up here, so most of my family live in the same town as me, which I really like. We can visit each other a lot. And just outside the town, there's really lovely countryside. So it's a nice place to live. I can go out walking in the countryside and it's generally quite peaceful. I also enjoy being very close to the cities. So Manchester on one side, Sheffield on the other. It's quite easy to get the train into one of those cities. So if I decide that the countryside is just a little bit too quiet and I want to do something exciting, it's really easy to get the train into the city. Little change of subject for this one. So someone might say to you, what do you do? When they say, what do you do? They mean, what is your job? What is your career? How do you make money to live? So what do you do is a question about your job. If you don't have a job, you could say, I'm a student. Or if you stay at home and take care of your children, you might be a stay-at-home mum or stay-at-home dad. And you could also say, I'm looking for a job. That's if you don't have a job, but you want to have a job, you say, I am looking for a job. So an example for me, if someone says to me, what do you do? I'm a personal trainer in a gym and I teach English on YouTube. Sorry, I missed an answer to the last question. So the last question was, what is it like in your town? I'm going to slow down. What is it like in your town? And someone has answered, it's quiet here. So there are some videos on YouTube about the country. That sounds lovely. I love quiet countryside areas. That is my favourite place to live. So I live very near to the countryside and I really like that. Back to my question about jobs. So what do you do? I'm a personal trainer and an English teacher, which is a strange combination. A lot of people wonder why I do both of those things. And the reason is simply because I like both. I like both teaching and fitness training. Hi, Freddie Murphy. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So I am currently asking some questions. You are welcome to just answer them by yourself or type the answer into the chat so that I can read it. The next question is related to your job. So this is a question that someone may ask after they say, what do you do? They might say, how long have you been there? So the first question on this page, how long have you been there? That is, how long have you been working for this company that you work for? So if I say I work at this gym and someone says, how long have you been there? They mean at this particular gym. So my answer to this question would be about 8 or 9 months. So how long have you been there? About 8 months. So you can answer in years, months, weeks, however long you've been in that particular job. Hello and welcome. Welcome to the new people who are joining my chat. Feel free to answer this question. We are on the question of how long have you been in your job? How long have you been there? The second question is similar. The second question on the screen is how long have you been doing that? So that means how long have you been a teacher or a personal trainer or whatever your profession is. How long have you been doing that? So in my case, if someone says, oh, you're a personal trainer, how long have you been doing that? I would say about 4 years. So I have been a qualified personal trainer for about 4 years. And I have been an English teacher for about 15 years. That's much longer than I've been a personal trainer. So the question, how long have you been doing that? It's not asking about your particular workplace. It's how long have you been doing this job altogether, in total. Freddie Murphy wants to wag his tail with enjoyment. Thank you, Freddie. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Let's have a look at another question. If you have a particularly interesting or unusual job, someone might ask you, oh, how did you get into that? How did you get into that? This question, when they say, how did you get into that? It means how did you start doing that job? How did you become a teacher and why? Usually they mean why. So for example, I studied chemistry at university. So I have a degree in chemistry, but I do not work in any way related to chemistry at all. I'm an English teacher and a fitness trainer. So people do often ask me, how did you get into that? And my answer to those is, for the fitness training side of things, I was a jiu-jitsu instructor for a very, very long time. So I was teaching jiu-jitsu for a long time while doing other jobs. So I have always been interested in fitness. I've been going to the gym since I was about 16. So it was something that I really enjoyed as a hobby, and I just decided, why not make it my career? And the English teaching came when I worked in London. I worked for a big sports store called Decathlon in London. I know Decathlon has stores all around Europe. You may have heard of it if you live in Europe. And while working at Decathlon, I had so many colleagues from all over the world, and nearly all of them had moved to London to improve their English. So I was one of the very few English people working in the store, and I started to help a lot of my colleagues with their English. They would come to ask me questions, ask me to explain things in English, and I really enjoyed that. I loved teaching, I loved helping people to understand, and it made me think perhaps that would be a better job than managing a sports store, which is what I was doing at the time. I was a department manager. I was hoping to become a store manager, but I didn't really like management, and honestly I wasn't very good at it. So I thought maybe teaching is something I'm much better at than managing. And my colleagues were always asking me for help, so I thought I must be helpful in some way. So that's when I went to do my TEFL qualification and became an English teacher after that. And I do really enjoy it, much more than managing a shop. It is much more interesting. I get to meet lots of interesting people, and I enjoy it much more. So yes, you can get a job if you are underqualified if your uncle owns the company. Bob's your uncle, that is true. So Freddie Murphy is making lots of nice comments for me. Thank you, Freddie. There is a word for that even. The word nepotism means getting a job just because one of your relatives owns the company. So that is so common, we invented a word for it. It's nepotism, and it's generally not considered to be a good thing. It's when someone who is underqualified is given a job by one of their relatives. There's a new word for you. Hello, there are new people joining the chat all the time. It's lovely to see you all here, thank you. I am asking you questions tonight, and you are welcome to write your answers in the chat or just say them out loud to practice your conversation skills. If you are watching this on the replay, feel free to pause the video and think a little bit longer about your answers. I realise I'm going quite fast here, just to keep people interested because they're watching live. But feel free to pause the video if you're watching the replay and think more thoroughly about your answers. Okay, so we have someone from a secret location in Mogadishu. You are very welcome here. Thank you for coming. Let's go to our next question. Complete change of subject here. Very common question. British people love talking about food. We're very interested in food from all over the world. There is a very large number of different food places. Even in my small town, we have about 5 different nationalities of takeaway and restaurant. And if you go into the big cities, you'll see food from all over the world. So it's really common that we might ask, what kind of food is popular in your country? Or what do you eat in your country? So with this question, we'd be asking about your traditional types of food. What is your country known for? Is there anything in your area that is particular to that area? Tagine in Morocco, yep, that's delicious. I have tried tagine, very tasty. British food that is popular in Britain. Of course, we have the chip shops, our chippies. We love chippy chips. Fish and chips. It's common in the north of England to get either gravy or curry sauce on your chippy chips. I realised when I lived in London that's not so common in the south. So you can ask for chips and curry in any northern chip shop and you'll get some. If you ask for chips and curry in the south, they might look at you a bit strangely, like you're asking for something really weird. But chips with curry on, try it, they're great. We also have our traditional Sunday dinner. The Sunday dinner or roast dinner, that's roast potatoes, some kind of meat and vegetables. Stew, I guess, is probably a traditional British food in winter. We need lots of hot food to keep us warm. The temperatures were down to -15 last week. That's cold even for here, but yeah, it was freezing all of last week. So lots of stew to keep us warm. And other types of food are really popular in England. We like Indian food especially. I think Indian and Chinese are probably the most popular takeaway foods or restaurant foods around here. But also Italian, Mexican, Japanese, foods from all over the world are really popular. We like to try all kinds of food around here. Have some more answers. Oh, couscous, yeah. I buy couscous quite often. It's really quick and easy to make, so I like couscous. I'm Belarus. Potatoes grow quickly, or potatoes grow well, sorry. Yeah, potatoes grow well here. There are lots and lots of things which don't grow in Britain, so we rely a lot on potatoes and onions. Oh, poor Freddie's getting hungry. Sorry, Freddie. I think I have another question about food next, so we're going to be on food for a little while longer. Oh, I was also going to mention, if you are having a conversation with someone and they mention that they're going to get an Indian or get a Chinese, what they mean by that is an Indian takeaway or Chinese takeaway. So we very often shorten that. So, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm going to get an Indian and watch a movie. So that means they will order a takeaway from the Indian restaurant or the Indian takeaway and watch a movie. We'd also say we are going for an Indian or going for a Chinese if we're going to the restaurant. So if you get one, you're bringing the food home. If you are going for one, then you're going to the restaurant. Chicken tikka masala is really, really popular around here. I think that was voted Britain's favourite curry or something like that. I know that's definitely popular. Lamb karahi, yeah, that's served in the restaurant just up the road. That's my favourite takeaway. Is only 5 minutes from here. The food is absolutely amazing. I'm getting hungry now thinking about it. Ooh, borscht, yeah. Actually, I have made borscht just once or twice. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. The beetroot stew, that's right, isn't it? I have tried to make it. Oh, I'm really sorry if I get these pronunciations terribly wrong. Pelmeni dumplings, platsindi, which is a fried dish with fillings like cottage cheese and greens, and mamaliga, which is polenta. That sounds great. And which country are those foods from? I can't see which country you're from, sorry. Oh, thank you. Yes, I did pronounce them correctly. Good. Let's go. Ah, Moldova. Those foods were from Moldova. Thank you. Let's go to my next question. This question can be answered in several very different ways. So, what is your favourite food? It sounds really simple, but some people will answer this question with just one food. So, what is your favourite food? Chocolate. A simple answer. Some people will answer with the cuisine of an entire country. What is your favourite food? Indian. So if you want someone to be more specific, for example, if you are cooking a meal, you might have to ask more questions or ask what is your favourite meal rather than favourite food. So if you say food, they could think just one type of food, or they could go for a more general area of food. So food from one specific country perhaps. Christmas dinner, loads of people have Christmas dinner as their favourite food. Christmas dinner is very much like our roast dinner that I described earlier. It's roast potatoes and vegetables, usually turkey. Turkey is the traditional meat that's eaten with Christmas dinner, and we usually add things like cranberry sauce and stuffing, bread sauce, lots of little extras to make it a bit more special for Christmas. Fish and chips, lots and lots of people like fish and chips. I prefer chips and curry. If I'm going to the chippy, I will always have my chips with lots of curry sauce and salt and vinegar. Love chips and curry. Let's have a look at another question. We're changing the subject again. We'll go away from the topic of food so that we're not all sitting here wishing that we could eat something. Oh, what's this one? Siniki, which is a cottage cheese pancake. Again, I really hope I pronounced that correctly. So Siniki is from Belarus. And beer with crisps, that is a very popular option. Yeah, in every British pub every weekend, beer with crisps is going to be the most popular option. Another question that your colleagues may bring up just as part of the conversation, just to keep things interesting, would be, are you going on holiday this year? So if someone says to you, are you going on holiday this year? You could say, no, it's too expensive, or no, it's too much hassle. So hassle is, it's just a lot of effort. It's quite difficult. So if you have a big family and maybe you have pets and you have to arrange for someone to take care of your pets, it's a bit of a hassle. But let's say you are going on holiday. You could say, yes, I'm going in the summer. Or you could tell the person where you're going or what you are doing. So I'm going hiking in the Alps. I'm not. I wish I was. Just an example. Or you could say, we might be going away this year, but we haven't decided yet. So maybe we're thinking about a holiday, we don't really know where to go. Or a popular option is, it's an American word because in English we don't really use the word vacation. But obviously because of the internet, American words are used here quite often. A staycation, which is where you stay at home, but you have some day trips. So I think that's what my family will do this year. We are planning a week in August where we will take some time off work and go on lots of nice days out. Take some day trips, maybe to the Lake District, maybe to a theme park. We're still thinking about it, but that's a staycation. Some answers in the comments. Are you going on holiday? No, it's quite expensive. I agree. There are 5 people in my family, so it does get quite expensive if we want to go anywhere. The magnificent castle on the screen is not my home. Sadly, it's a screensaver that my computer brought up. I don't even know where it is, but it's beautiful, isn't it? Maybe I should go on holiday there. That would be nice. Strapped for cash and all that. I know the feeling. Yeah. Strapped for cash, that means I don't have a lot of money, so I won't be going on holiday. Someone told me yesterday about a cycling holiday through the Netherlands. That sounded lovely. Cycling through the Netherlands in springtime to look at the flowers and the windmills. It just sounded beautiful. So maybe that can be a plan in a few years' time when my children are old enough to cycle all the way through a country. Let's have a look at my final question. We only have one left. Again, this is a question that people at work will very often ask you just to make interesting conversation. And it's, what are you doing at the weekend? So if you're at work on a Wednesday, you're all quite bored, you're starting to think ahead already to the weekend. So what are you doing at the weekend? Oh, Freddie, I'm not going to read that. I'm trying to keep this work appropriate just in case anyone's watching it where they can't hear naughty words. So I'm going to keep this very polite and professional. But you are correct. It's an often used English phrase. So what are you doing at the weekend? You could say, not much. If you don't have any specific plans, it would be not much, or nothing very interesting, or maybe you do have some interesting plans. I have some really great plans for next weekend. I am going to visit my friend. I'm staying at her house, and we are going to go and watch a Queen tribute band. So a tribute band, that's a band which plays all the songs from a very famous band. So this band love Queen, and they will be playing all the famous Queen songs. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm sure Freddie Murphy would love to see that one. Yes, it depends on the weather. It absolutely does. We have that problem in Britain all the time. Sometimes you will make some lovely plans to go outdoors. Maybe you want to go hiking. Maybe you want to go somewhere where you need to be outdoors to enjoy it, and then it rains, because this is Britain and of course it rains. Or perhaps it snows. Last week we had this much snow and that causes chaos. So yes, it very much depends on the weather. If you want to go somewhere outdoors, you have to plan a good day. So you can look at the weather forecast. Very often people in Britain will look at the weather forecast before they plan anything for the weekend, because it does change all the time. You can have rain in June. We don't really have a dry season. We could have rain at any time of the year. So even in the summer, if you want to have a picnic or go for a hike, it's a good idea to check the weather forecast. So if you are planning to come to Britain, be sure that you check your weather forecast before you go anywhere. So, okay, so I have a reply. Usually at the weekend I walk a lot with my Labrador Barney. Oh, I love Labradors. My parents had a Labrador when I was younger. They are such sweet dogs. And when it rains, I watch Netflix. Yep, that's me too. I do watch Netflix. I will have a think about this one. So this commenter has asked me, can I recommend any British reality shows or series for learners? I will have a think about that and probably post it on the community tab. I can't think of any right now that would be good for learners. I actually watch Bluey in German. I'm learning German. Bluey is a children's cartoon, so the language is quite simple, but it is funny. It is a really funny little cartoon about a family of dogs in Australia. So you could watch Bluey. I know that that has nice simple language for learners. If I think of any more, I will leave them in my community tab. Yeah, lots of people like to go for walks. Freddie likes going fishing. That's quite popular around here. If I'm out walking along the canal or by the lakes, I do often see people sitting there with their fishing rods. It's quite popular. For me, I could not just sit still for hours and hours. I have to be up and moving. I like to be active. So me and my dog will be out hiking up the mountains. Benidorm. Do you mean the TV series Benidorm? Yeah, you do. I've actually never watched that. Freddie Murphy recommends Benidorm to watch. I have no idea if that's a good one for English learners. Give it a try and let me know. Let's see, can we go back to just me on the screen? Because, nope. Sorry, new technology. No idea what I'm doing. There we go. Let's see if that works. That is the end of my questions now. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the chat. I will just give you a few minutes before I end. It's been really lovely talking to you all. Thank you. Oh, I almost forgot that I had a list of questions for you. Things that you should not ask someone about. Sorry if you've been waiting for those. I very nearly forgot. So, things we don't talk about in Britain, things which are considered a little bit rude or too personal to ask about. The main three are politics, religion, and money. So it is considered very rude to say to someone, "Who did you vote for?" You generally do not ask your colleagues or your acquaintances who they voted for or which political party they support. Obviously, politics is an area where people often have very strong opinions, and it could cause an argument if you disagree. So it's considered polite to not talk about it. Rather than argue, just don't talk about it. You can, of course, with your very close friends, you can talk about anything you like, but with acquaintances or work colleagues, don't talk about politics, unless you work in politics, of course. The other one is religion. We generally do not say, "What is your religion?" as soon as you meet someone. That's a little bit too personal. Religion is a personal thing, and it can be considered a little bit rude to ask someone straight away as soon as you meet them. Again, once you get to know someone a little bit better, it's fine to discuss religion with them. And finally, asking someone, "How much money do you earn?" That's quite rude as well. So it's not considered very polite to directly ask someone how much they earn. And people usually won't talk about it. Thinking about all the people I know, I don't know the exact income of any of them at all. Not even my family members. I don't know exactly how much any of them earn. because it's not really polite to talk about it. So if you are talking to British people and you don't know them very well, then do not talk about politics, religion or money. Thank you very much for your lovely comment, Freddie. Thank you for being in the chat all the way through. Thanks to everyone who has sent me messages. It's been really nice to interact with you all. And I am going to end the chat here. So I am hoping to be back with another live. I'm going to try to do one every week. I'm not going to say that's a definite promise, but I will do my best. And I hope to chat to you all soon. Bye.